Get ready to dive deep into Buffalo's vibrant music scene because we're stepping inside the fabulous Flamingo Lounge for the 8th season of local music magic. In the Flamingo Lounge with Rockabilly Greg is more than just a podcast. It's a collection of stories that delves deep into the vibrant musical history of Buffalo and Western New York, creating a living archive where each story adds a unique thread to the overall narrative. This season, we're taking a deep dive into the heart of the music community. Join us for personal conversations with musicians and industry pros, where we celebrate the collective creativity that makes our favorite artists, venues, and events so special. But before we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsors, CatsLikeUs.com, Diamond Hawk Golf Course and Pub, and valued supporter Buffalo Ironworks for helping to keep the music alive. Joining me this week from the Theater of Youth, also affectionately known as The Toy, is Executive Director Tracy Snyder. A Buffalo native and SUNY Buffalo and Niagara University alum, Tracy serves as a versatile leader at Toy with a background spanning from an acting residency at Shakespeare's Globe Theatre in London to film directing. With years of experience as an actor, stage manager, playwright, wardrobe mistress, teaching artist, and a former education director for Shakespeare in Delaware Park, she brings a wealth of local and international expertise to the stage. It is my honor to welcome to the Flamingo Lounge, Tracy Snyder.
Thank you so much,
Oh,
Greg.
you're
I'm
welcome.
thrilled to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you. I'm glad we ran into each other. Like, you guys got to be on here because of course, Toy's a little bit of a different theater because you're focused on kids.
Yes, we are.
You know, and it's with and musicals too, which
Yes.
and a lot of our. Well, before we get into all that, because I got a lot of questions about the Toy, but I always like to ask my guests, did you have an aha moment when you said, man, music's what I want to do, or maybe in your case, musical theater is what I want to do?
That is so funny. This is so weird, but the first thing that comes to my mind is I grew up doing theater with my mom and my brother. And my brother, we would listen to Broadway musical soundtracks.
Right.
And I just have this really vivid memory of being, I don't even know how old, but I was singing If I Were a Belle from Guys and Dolls. And that was just like the best feeling in the world to sing that song and just to be able to relate to my mom and my brother with this music.
Right.
And that's just kind of found a home, I guess.
Right.
And that was just wonderful.
Now, I was trying to remember, have we done a show together? I did a show with Josh because we did Tommy together.
Yes.
Yeah. My family still hasn't gotten over that. But I can't remember. Did we do a show together?
Yes, we did.
We did.
How could you forget? We did Grease.
Oh, that's right. We did Grease.
Amherst Players.
That's right. Yeah. That was Johnny Casino. Yeah.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I love that show. I was Frenchie, and I still talk about it.
Right.
That is a show I could do forever. I never got sick of it. I loved my character. I love the cast.
Right.
But it's such a fun show.
Right. And of course, it's different than the movie.
Oh, very different.
Like most shows are, right?
Yes.
I mean, the movie can do different things, and because everyone always comes, that's not the right, they didn't do it the right way. Well, no, it's because it's a different show.
It's funny, though. That's a musical that I don't know that I can say if I like the musical or the movie better, because they're both so good and so unique to what they are.
Right.
And yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, it's like I've done A Christmas Story a couple times and played the old man, and the stage play, of course, and the movie, very different shows.
Sure.
Similar but different, right? Kind of the same premise and all that, but totally done differently. And I always, like, my brother came to see me when I was in 12 Angry Men, and he says, you didn't do the thing with the light switch, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that. I'm like, because we're not redoing the film, dude. I said,
right.
You know, this is the stage play. This is how it was written for stage. So, because sometimes you have to do things differently, as you know.
Absolutely.
On stage than you can do, on film. But anyway, I digress. So let's go back to, so you're singing at home and you're doing that. So when was the first time you actually said, Mom, I want to audition for a show?
You know, my first show, I didn't actually audition. I kind of did, but I didn't. So my mom and my brother were doing a show. I believe it was at Villa Maria College. It was a different adaptation of The Wizard of Oz. It was a musical, though. And in this version, there were 3 witches.
Mm.
There was like the main one, but then there were these 2 sidekicks. So my mom was a sidekick. My brother was a winky guard.
Hmm.
And I just remember them saying, hey, we're going to have a rehearsal. We're going to bring you with me. And then I went up on stage and I sang. And then I was a munchkin.
Okay.
Like honestly, I don't remember like having it be a formal audition, but I was just cast and I was a munchkin and I was 9 years old and that was my first show.
Wow.
And I've been acting ever since.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you done both straight plays and musicals, or?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I have a deep love for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
They both serve such different purposes for both my actor soul as well as, audiences' likes and dislikes. And I love musical theater. I love straight plays.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you done any music outside of musical theater? Like any, singing with bands or doing stuff like of that nature? Or?
I have not.
No?
I've always had a dream, but it's never come to fruition.
Hey, we are the music makers.
Yes.
We are the dreamers of dreams. So
maybe one day. I
keep
don't know.
Dreaming.
I don't know.
That's right.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, favorite show?
Oh, my favorite show.
No, I was going to say favorite show that you've done, that you've been in, like favorite role maybe.
Well, musical, I think I would have to say Grease. And playing Frenchie specifically was so much fun. And then a straight play, I have a real love of Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever I get to do Shakespeare, it's just so wonderful. But I really loved playing Corey Bratter in Barefoot in the Park.
Mm-hmm.
That was a show I did with the Tonawanda Town Players. And it was just so much fun. I feel like it was like the right show to do at that time in my life.
Yeah.
And it was just so fun and just delightful.
Yeah. Well, Neil Simon's so well written too.
He is. Oh, and it was so much fun to have these fake arguments and like get aggression out, but it's the role and it's funny and it's I just had so much fun.
Yeah. That was my first play was Odd Couple. So same
fun.
thing. Yeah.
Classic.
With Rocking Horse with their first show. But and that was because I'd been doing musical theater.
Yeah.
I wanted to sing, but I had no outlet.
Right.
So, fortunately, our community really is a great place. If you want to do musical theater, there are enough different companies at different levels for all levels of people to get in and get their feet wet.
Absolutely.
Do professional stuff, et cetera. I don't know if there's many, places out there like us that has as many companies.
Oh, it's
for
true.
Theater,
and even, thinking about all the levels, as you said, whether it's community theater or professional, there's so many amazing artists that, go back and forth between them. And there's really a place for everyone.
Yeah.
And you can always just, continue learning and growing. And whether it's straight plays or musical theater, there's always opportunities to get involved. And also for backstage too. You don't always have to be an actor to get involved in the theater. So
yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That's how I got my start. I was painting sets and kind of like you, I was doing funny thing happened on the way to the Forum, but I was doing the sets, and it was a dinner theater at the Treadway in Batavia. I lived in Batavia at the time. And so I'd be singing all the songs, and this one guy, Carl Schoonover, he says, "Why aren't you in the show?" And I said, "I can't sing." He says, "Baloney." He said, "I've been listening to you the whole time."
Oh my gosh.
So he says, you should do it. And he tried it. The director, he says, "You know what? We should just have Greg come out and paint the set while we're doing the show." He says it would totally fit with Forum, right? And she's like, no, but the Batavia Rotary Club was doing Barnum that year, so they're like, I did sets and I acted in the play. I killed myself.
Oh wow!
It was 6 weeks of I was never home, and I had little ones. My ex was not happy with me, but I made money doing the sets, so I said, "Here, go shop." Hopefully that'll cure a little bit, but boy, that was, in that show, the chorus, I was on stage for like 80% of the show.
Wow.
Just because of the nature of the show.
Sure.
So my mother was like, "Oh my God, you were in your glory," But anyway, so now your journey as a theatrical actor. So how did where did that take you, like, in high school and college? And, you've got some great stuff in your bio. I mean, I didn't read your entire bio on here. You've done some really wild stuff.
Well, goodness, I just always wanted to act ever since that first show, and I was so fortunate. We worked with a company for many years that eventually found a home at the Opera House years
Okay.
ago, and it was like we would do 2 to 3 shows every year, and I would do it with my mom and my brother.
Mhm.
And so I think it really helped us see each other as individuals as
Mhm.
well as, my brother and my mother.
Right.
And so we like had this extended family with the artists. And so I did theater throughout all of school, and then I went to UB for theater performance.
Mhm.
But it's funny, when I was at UB, I realized that I need to extend a little bit, and like maybe performing nonstop is not quite for me.
Right.
And maybe that I'm not for it either, right?
Mhm.
There were a lot of parts that kind of got away that I didn't quite understand at the time, but now I look back and it's it's the world of theater and auditioning, and it's
Oh, yeah.
90% no, and that 10% yes is what gets you through the door, and
Mhm.
it's hard. It's really hard. And I thought, I love theater so much and I want to act, but there's so much more that maybe I could do and still be involved.
Mhm.
And so that's why I started interning at Irish Classical, and I had done an internship with Shakespeare in Delaware Park
Mhm.
my I think it was my junior year of high school.
Mm.
And that really opened the door up too, because I
Right.
saw what other opportunities there were, but still be active and
Sure.
engaged was so wonderful.
Mhm.
So then I just kind of kept putting my hand in other areas, and I did wardrobe and stage managed and all these other things. But
Mhm.
then in college I thought, maybe I want to do administration. And so I took a year off after UB, and I was really antsy and I just
Mhm.
didn't know what to do. And so I went to NU, and they had
Mhm.
an interdisciplinary studies program that they still have, and I
Okay.
was able to shape my own program through that. And so
Mhm.
I tried to make it an arts management, and so I took a lot of theater classes and I took a lot of business classes.
Mhm.
And then I was fortunate enough to get the position at Shakespeare in Delaware Park. I started as their office manager and then
Mm.
kind of blended that to become their education director for 7 years, and that was great. I still got to act. I'd audition and still
Mhm.
got to act, but I was a teaching artist, and so I found ways to be an artist. And to
Right.
me, that was more important to fulfill my life than just being an actor
Mhm.
for me.
Right.
And then the opportunity came about in 2019, just before the pandemic, with Toy. And
Mhm.
I thought, let's try something new. Let's take
Right.
that leap of faith, work with kids who I love to work with,
Mhm.
and kind of see where the path leads. And so that's how I kind of took
Right.
that journey.
Yeah, and you've been there ever since, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it'll
Yeah.
be 7 years
7
this
years.
summer at Toy now.
Yeah, that's great. And it just kinda goes to show that, because I know for most parents, right, and you're a parent, you wanna tell your kids, "Don't get your hopes up." So many people don't make it, whether it's music or theater, any of the arts where
Sure.
but there is ways to make a living out of it,
Absolutely.
right? You don't like you said, you don't necessarily have to be acting all the time. There's all kinds of behind the scenes if you're willing to do it, right?
Yeah.
There's ways that you can make that your life, and
Oh,
that's wonderful
absolutely.
that
And
you've been
it's
able to, take your passion and your avocation and make it your
And
vocation.
especially in Buffalo, it's hard because it's a double-edged sword. I wish that we could support more artists
Mhm.
to be artists in Buffalo, but there are so many companies
Right.
and venues that it's a real challenge for the venue or the
Mhm.
company to sustain that themselves. But
Right.
there are ways to get involved, and again, to try something new. I
Yeah.
didn't know what I was doing when I started being a teaching artist at all,
Yeah.
but it just kind of you just kind of figure it out, and hopefully you have some good mentors and inspiration,
Mhm.
and you just kind of take a leap of faith.
Right. Well, and I think it goes because so many people I know myself, I mean, I don't make a living being a musician or,
Mhm.
doing the podcast or anything, but I just love it because it's part of my life, and if you're just able to do something, and again,
Right.
having the ability here in our community to be able to go out and sing at a coffee house or go to to an open mic,
Oh, to
get
have that
into
outlet.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I did so many shows at the, at the Opera House too, and
Sure.
got started at the Riv though. I mean, big stage, and
Yeah.
it's kind of neat. But I wanted to go back though. What was the company you worked with at the Opera House? What was?
Oh, yes, they were known as TNT Productions
Okay,
with Tom Kazmerzak.
yeah, yeah, lot of folks, and there was a lot of producing companies that used to,
Yes.
produce shows out there at the Opera House. I know they've changed their model now, and
Hmm.
now they just produce their own shows, and it's probably a little, of course, money and all that. There's a lot
Oh, sure.
because of
So many
right,
factors.
because of course with musicals, right? I mean, people just think, oh yeah, well, you got to get the rights to the music,
Oh,
and
it's very expensive to do a musical,
yes,
or it can be. It
yeah,
can be, depending on the
right.
shows that you're doing.
Well, and depending on the orchestra that you get,
Oh,
how
sure.
many people are in the pit, and they're usually union folks
Yep.
because they're coming tech week, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're not rehearsing you're rehearsed to CDs and,
Yeah.
recordings of any kind that you can get
Oh,
to
sure.
rehearse to, because it's, as you said, it's expensive. And
Yeah.
I mean, those musicians, of course, they come in, that night, boom, and it's incredible to
Oh,
watch these
yeah. I mean,
people.
talk about a professional.
Yeah, I mean, holy smokes, they get the music and whoop, interpret it, and they're right on the money with you, and
Yeah.
it's pretty neat. But yeah, that's where your money's going, and then the rights, of course,
Oh,
too. So,
sure.
and most people don't think it's like, no, you can't record the musicals, kids. That's
Yes.
against the rules. I'm sorry, Mom, you can't bring out your phone, and
Oh,
you
there's
know,
so much to it that
yeah,
that the average person just has no idea what
exactly,
really goes into
right,
making a show.
yeah. And I don't know how many friends of mine have, I didn't get the big part, so we're gonna do our own shows, and then they do one, and then
Oh,
they're like,
sure.
oh yeah, boy, this was a lot harder than I thought it was. And I mean, I give kudos to my buddy, Doug Kern. We both know Doug with
Yes.
Rocking Horse. He was on earlier, and he's done it for 30 years. He says, but I know he knows how to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
he pretty much breaks even and makes enough money to just keep,
Hmm.
because it's his passion, right? But he says, yeah, so many folks, they just don't understand what goes into all the ins and outs. And I think he's got it the right, because he doesn't want to get on stage. He's the behind the scenes
Sure.
producer guy, right? So it takes everyone. It does take that village, right?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and you mentioned though auditions. Are they the worst?
Auditions are the worst.
The
That's
the
kind of why I don't really act anymore.
right? Oh, I can get up and perform with no, but to get up and audition?
It's hard.
Oh
It
my
takes a
gosh.
lot of
Yeah.
energy and vulnerability, and it's no, I give everyone a
Yeah.
lot of credit for auditioning. But it's also, it really is so important, like as a producer and someone that keeps an artistic eye on our casting and
Mhm.
throughout the season going to multiple auditions and holding our own, like
Mhm.
it's so important for us to see you in that light. And
Mhm.
I know as an actor myself, it's like, oh, well, just call me in for like a callback and I'll read from a script. But sometimes that isn't always appropriate. Like sometimes we do need to see you and what you are bringing to the table. So
Mhm.
it's so valuable, but I know it's so hard.
Oh, it's definitely like a chorus line, I hope I get it. I
It's
hope I
true.
get,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. Oh, and you feel so defeated when you don't make it. And for who,
Oh, but
for
you know what? You can even have a bad audition, but like it's so important to remember that we are rooting for you.
Mhm.
Like we want you to succeed. And
Right.
so like yes, you can go home and beat yourself up, have some ice cream,
Right.
whatever,
Yeah.
but like be proud of yourself for
Right.
doing what you did, because like we're rooting for you. And even if you mess up, we don't always know. It's
Mhm.
like live theater.
Yeah.
You do a show and you make a mistake and the audience doesn't necessarily
Oh, yeah.
know that there was a mistake. And
Mhm.
so just I don't know, you have to learn to be a little kind to yourself as
Yeah. I've
an
certainly done it.
artist.
And as I've always been reminded, Greg, it's also a visual thing. You might not look right with the person that we want to be your wife, let's say.
Sure.
So if there's going to be a husband wife, we're looking at how tall you are, how big, how you react with each other. You might not
Oh,
have had chemistry with.
yeah,
You might
there's
have
so much
like
that goes
sang
into
this
it.
song better, but there was just no chemistry or whatever.
Sure.
There's just so much to it, and they're like, we have a vision,
Yeah.
and again, you said, we want you to do it, but, but when 5 people audition for the same part, right? 4
Oh,
people don't get it.
it's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of really tough conversations in the room, after auditions. And sometimes we could cast a show, at least 5 different ways,
Right.
based on who came in. And it's just kind of like, what is the best for the company or the team, or, like, it's just, there's so many factors involved in making those decisions. And
Right.
it's not easy for us either.
I'm gonna ask probably a curveball question, but you guys precast?
It's funny. That is something that I really truly pride myself in, is that toy. Since I have stepped into the executive director role, we have general auditions, and we might think about a show and think about people that we would like to call in, and then extend those offers. Like, can you come in and read for this? But I truly, I'm trying to think, over the last, 5 seasons, there were a couple precast, like, people we were like really leaning towards, but we had to see them audition. Like when we did Beauty and the Beast, we still brought people in. We didn't just like make an offer without seeing someone, because again, chemistry means so much. And we work with different music directors, and sometimes like I might think of someone, but then it might not actually work vocally or musically. So no, I really try not to precast. I mean, like just a blind offer or things like that.
Yeah.
No, everyone comes in, everyone auditions, we do callbacks, and then we make offers. I think that's so important, because we have, over the last 5 years, we have so many new to toy people. And that is so important. There are so many veterans in the Buffalo theater community, and I love them tremendously. And there is a spot for everyone, but it's especially for us, because we tend to do shows for younger people, and the shows themselves are younger kids. And so we have to like skew our casting younger. And so we end up seeing a lot of new up and coming, fresh graduates. And so they're really new to the Buffalo theater community. And we have been so fortunate, and we have people now that have worked with us season after season, but they're so wonderful. And they started from the ground up, and now they're becoming, toy vets, and are just dynamite people. But we love seeing new people, and it's just so important for the community and our company to continue to hire new people and give those opportunities.
Right. What's your thought on auditioning people accompanied or a cappella?
Oh, I think it has to depend. I mean, depending on the show, but I think you have to have at least a pianist or something with you, because I mean, I sound great in the shower, but that's not that's not necessarily the proper key, or what you're looking for.
Right, but you also have to make sure they can follow along with, with a chorus or an orchestra, right, or a band or whatever.
Absolutely,
because I've heard some people sing a cappella; they're awesome, and then you give them, here's the tempo and all, like you said.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, you got to follow what we're playing, not what you want to sing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's a big thing. It's because I know when I've done auditions, they're like, you.
Well, also, like, I'll use Beauty and the Beast as an example again. You can sing along with the movie, but the script, or, the score itself of the Broadway show, there are some big differences in those actual vocal parts compared to the animated film. So we had a couple people that were like thrown off, because when you actually get in the room with the keyboard, it's different. Right.
Yeah. And you're looking to see if they can listen, right?
Yep.
Kind of go on the fly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's, so we're doing Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and there's a lot of duets and, combination people and scenes and music. And so it's chemistry again, and different vocal chemistry is just as important as any kind of chemistry you're talking about with two people together.
Yeah. Getting two voices to blend too, right?
Yes.
I mean, you could have two wonderful voices, but the blend
is
true. Not there. And then you hear two others, it's like, but then you get them to blend. And
it's amazing how that happens. Yeah. Truly.
I mean, I think, I sing a duo with my buddy, and he's got a wonderful voice, and I'm okay, but I think the two of us together got something.
Sure.
I think that the sum of the whole is
Yeah.
greater than the sum of the parts, kind of a thing. We really seem to blend right and complement each other's vocals.
Sure.
So I think there's a lot to be said for that. And that's got to be tough as a producer, director to go. "Hmm,
It's
I-
challenging.
yeah, yeah, got a lot of enemies, right?"
Yeah. we're very fortunate. We
Yeah.
really are.
Yeah. Now for Toy, like, what's the normal age level for folks that are like performing in the shows? Like you said, are they a lot younger performers, or is it all over the map? Or
Typically, I will say we do tend to work with actors 18 and over because
Mhm.
when you're under 18, there are different rules and
Gotcha.
regulations and New
Mhm.
York State standards and everything. But when a show truly calls for a child, we will, we will audition children.
Right.
It just kind of depends on the show
Yeah.
and what we're navigating. One of the reasons, especially recently, we haven't been going under 18 is just because we have so many school time performance days.
Mm,
And to try to pull kids from school, we
Right.
just can't do that. And
mhm.
so we tend to work with adult actors that have those daytime flexibility schedules so that
Yeah.
they can work with us.
Yeah. I know, again, doing Christmas Story, we of course had kids,
Mhm.
right? So, and it was interesting that the first year I did it, Ralphie was actually, I think, 14.
Oh,
So
wow.
he was old, but he looked young. And then he
Sure.
came next year to the show. Tall,
Oh, that's it.
hi, Mr. Hennessy. It's like it's like, wow, you couldn't play it this year if you wanted to. He totally grew up.
Oh, sure.
And a couple of the other kids were the same height, same everything. I'm like, oh, you poor kids. You'll grow. And one poor kid, he hasn't grown. He's still a little guy, but oh my gosh, so much fun with those kids.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
they're wonderful working with
yeah.
kids.
It's yes, the boys and I, we all the ladies are like, you guys, especially you should know better. I'm like, what? We're just having fun. So now tell me a little bit about Toy's season. So you got 3 shows. I know one's already
Yeah.
gone
So
through from Christmas,
this
but
season is our 54th season.
wow.
And yes, we just did in December, we did Fancy Nancy's Splendiferous Christmas, which was also a musical. And next up, opening at the end of February, is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the musical.
Hmm.
And then we will close our season in May with Corduroy, which is a play.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a really delightful season.
Yeah. So when does Diary of a Wimpy Kid open?
Yeah, so we have, like I said, school time performances, which are
Mhm.
on a slightly different schedule, but our public weekend performances run Saturday and Sundays from February 28th through March 14th.
Mm-hmm. So, and how big of a cast is that?
Oh, it is a cast of 11 core principal actors. And then we have a secondary cast, which are our understudies / swing tracks,
Mhm.
because we found during the pandemic, for everyone's health and safety, that understudies are such a key ingredient
Right.
in producing a show.
Mhm.
And they are wonderful. And this is the first time that we're really working with swings of this
Okay.
capacity as well. So I believe it's seven understudies and then 2 swings,
Okay.
I believe. It's a wonderful cast,
Right.
truly.
Now, do you give the understudies, like, if everyone's healthy or whatever, but you say you're going in today?
So the nice thing, what we really try to do is every understudy is guaranteed 2 performances,
Okay.
1 public and 1 school time.
Mhm.
And then they are on call. Well, both casts are on call,
Mhm.
because even if an understudy is scheduled to go on, well, sometimes things can happen. And so the
Sure.
principal might have to step back into that track to cover that performance. But
Mhm.
we have our understudy performance of Diary of a Wimpy Kid is on Sunday, March 8th at 2 p.m.
Nice. So now, what's your like rehearsal schedule like? I know when I've done shows, sometimes it's 2-3 months. But
We don't
not
go
every
that long.
day, maybe a couple times a week
Oh,
because,
sure.
but still it's like, and then other ones are like,
No,
I,
I mean this really is I'm going to say a part-time job. I
mhm,
mean, where they rehearse depending on the schedule, it is 5 to 6 weeks before we open. And then again, depending on the director's schedule, they can rehearse 6 days a week or it could be a
mhm,
little bit less, but we typically rehearse 6 days a week for 5 to 6
right.
weeks before we run. And
Mhm.
then we're very lucky that we run anywhere from 4 to 5 weeks because of those on school time performances. We've been extending because we have so much interest, which is just wonderful. So
Right.
we've been running to schools for about a month.
Oh, great. Now, your musical director from Wimpy Kid was supposed to be with us tonight, but
He
he couldn't
was.
make
They
it.
were. I'm
So,
so sorry
tell
that
me a little bit about Steven and because he seemed to have a really cool backstory.
Steven is wonderful. Steven has been with us for the last, I'm trying to think of our years, but the last 3 years. I believe the first
Hmm.
show that they did with us was You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Okay.
And they just bring such expertise and they're just wonderful with our casts and really working with the actors on like their strengths and weaknesses. And I think that they're wonderful at bringing synergy with everyone. And again, leaning in and developing the chemistry as we've
Hmm.
been talking about with the characters and the songs and
Right.
really accenting and highlighting the music.
Yeah. I like that. I had in his bio here, it says they specialize in creating immersive, often drunken, community-driven musical theater. And I'm like, I got to find out about that.
Oh, I know. I wish I had more information about that, but I don't. But
I do know many shows that I've done, we went out afterwards, and that was, got me in a lot of trouble too.
now that's
'Cause,
something I would love to do, like a drunken Shakespeare show or
oh my
something.
gosh,
Or yeah, oh,
yeah.
that would be a hoot.
Or actually, drink live during the show and see it progress.
Right.
I don't know how you do Shakespeare.
Really?
I could not remember. I know, every director I've had is do not paraphrase,
Oh, sure.
you say it the way it's written. And of course, we've all fumbled up, but how do you fumble up Shakespeare? You can't really fumble up Shakespeare.
It's funny. I know there's an actor that comes to mind that sometimes they'll fumble and like somehow still be in iambic pentameter. And like, I don't know how they do it, but
Mhm.
like, and they can get back on track. But I'm someone, I've been in that moment where you do make a mistake and it's like you have to know it word for word so that you
Mhm.
can actually get back on track, because if you do lose it, sometimes you could just like unravel and
Right.
not be able to get back on. But no, it's hard, but I love the challenge of it.
Mhm.
I really love the challenge. Years ago, before the pandemic and before unfortunately New Phoenix Theater closed, I did a production of King John and I played, I don't even remember how many characters, but multiple characters. And I think it was the 5 of us doing the whole show of King John. And it
Mhm.
was the hardest experience because it
Okay.
was so challenging. The
Yeah.
script was very challenging to me.
Mhm.
But I know that I had some struggles up to opening, but then I loved it. And once you master it and you do allow it to come out and it's just a part of you and the speech is natural,
Sure.
there is just nothing that
Mhm.
like is more powerful and freeing
Yeah.
than doing Shakespeare right. In
Right.
my opinion, it's just, and also studying at the Globe Theater really
Mm.
changed the course of my life.
Right.
And my love of theater and Shakespeare tremendously.
Mhm.
And so to be able to have a relationship with Shakespeare in Delaware Park has just been such a gift in
Mhm.
my life.
Yeah. And I know they've been adding some music to some of their
They
performers.
have.
Yeah.
Yes, they
It's
have.
kind of neat. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Bringing
very
some
fun.
contemporary, settings to it. And yeah,
Absolutely.
doing a little bit different, which is cool because you can take Shakespeare. I mean, West Side
Oh,
Story is Shakespeare, right? I mean,
absolutely.
yeah. So,
No, different audiences and generations. And the important thing is the exposure. And sometimes you might have purists that are like, that's not Shakespeare. But,
mhm.
you got to open the doors. And I think it's
Right.
really important just to have
Yeah.
early exposure to
Mhm.
theater is so
Yeah.
important.
Well, and as you mentioned with the rehearsing, that muscle memory,
It's true.
it's
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean, just
someone
picking something up at the
you got to get
way.
it in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the words just come. I mean, how many of us, you did a show 20 years ago, you hear the song and you're like, boop.
Oh, that's true. That is very true.
Yeah. I know, you struggle with a show and then it's like, oh gosh, now I hear it. I'm right back there.
It's amazing how it does sometimes come back to you instantly. Yeah.
Music is cool that it can do that for you.
Oh, absolutely.
That it can bring you to a time and a place and, an experience, whether it's musical theater or just any old song you hear on the radio. It's like, I remember I was with Mom. We were going to an audition or whatever. It just, and crazy how that works.
And, I this is a bit random, but my mom, brother, and I actually all at one time, some overlapping, but we all worked for the Amherst Senior Center in their transportation. And my mom was a driver for the van, and she would talk to these, old women that they would hear a song on the radio, and she would just look in the rearview mirror, and it was like she could see them in their youth through the music. And so many of these women would say, like, I still like what I liked when I was 16.
Right.
And so, music has a way of transporting you and remembering things. And it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I enjoy it. And I am very fortunate to perform at assisted living homes, occasionally. And seeing the look on folks, on the residents' faces and just the mouthing the words.
Yes.
And singing. I say it, I'll say it 1,000 times. I was performing at the Hamburg Adult Daycare Center before they closed it down, and I was doing solo, so I had backing tracks, and this one gentleman was just having a ball. He was singing at the top of his lungs, but he was out of key, out of rhythm, but he was loving life. He was singing a joyful noise, and one of the attendants was like, let him sing above. I said, don't you tell him to stop. I said, he's having the time of his life, and that's why I'm here. Yeah. So he can have an hour of just letting it go.
That's
beautiful. I said, you go, man. It says, you're not throwing me off. I said, I've had a lot better people trying to throw me off on stage. and you mentioned singing harmonies. It took me a while because I would, and when you're on stage too, and people are singing different parts, it's hard to keep that focus. You're acting, you're singing, because people, sometimes they forget you're also acting and playing a character.
Absolutely.
You're not just singing a song, right?
Right.
It's, musical theater looks like I'm singing and I'm in the basement and I'm singing, and there's a lot more to it than that, Best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud around here.
Oh, the best movie.
That's right. Again, one of those things. It's like, boom.
Yes, absolutely.
Comes in.
Oh, tone of voice, the music, the words. Oh, it's amazing.
Now let me go on the other side of the experience. Do you remember like the biggest time that you froze on stage? You were like, oh boy, because it happens to all of us, right? It just goes and you blank.
Yes. One of the the last show that I did during the pandemic was Bell Book and Candle with the Tonawanda Town Players, and my mom was directing, and it's a role, Gillian, who again, it's such a highlight in my career that I got to play that role. And towards the end of the show, she spoiler alert, she's a witch, but she becomes human. And so she can cry, and she's never felt that emotion before, but she's fallen in love, and she's crying, and she doesn't want to admit to the guy that she loves that she is about to cry. She doesn't want to admit that she's lost her powers. And he starts confronting her, and she has these mini monologues to get him away and to distract. And I kept putting them in the wrong place and not remembering the order. And so there would be times that I'd look at him totally doe-eyed and you got to help me out here because I do not know what my next line is.
Right.
Because I would just get stuck or go in circles.
Yeah.
And luckily he knew okay, this is a trouble point for Tracy. I have to help her out.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad, but it's sometimes it's funny no matter what you do, like the brain just won't let you connect it.
Yeah.
So that was challenging.
Well, and that again, that's where having people that will have your back on stage. That
Absolutely. I've
but
had so many wonderful scene partners.
Because you know the look. If you've done it,
you do know the look.
If you've done it, you're like my friend Paul. One time he told me, he says, "I saw it in you, man." He says, "I was ready, but I don't know what you said, but boy, you pulled it off."
Yeah. Oh yeah,
just...
I've had to save people before, and you do. It is that look, and you can see them saying like, "Help me," in their eyes, and it's like, all right.
Yeah, and like you said, fortunately, the audience doesn't have a script, right?
And luckily, most of the time, they have no idea that anything is askew. Yeah,
right. Although and I've mentioned it before, I ruined the best line in A Christmas Story. Instead of saying, "You look like a pink nightmare," I said, "You look like a messed up Easter egg."
Oh, no.
Opening night. Doug Kern comes running back. "What the hell did you do?" "You ruined the best line of the show." He says, "That's the most memorable line of the whole show." I'm like, oops. I said, "But I sold it." Says, "No one out there knew that wasn't the right line."
That's the thing. You got to commit.
Yeah.
Even if you're messing up, you have to commit and get out of it somehow.
Yeah. Singing the same verse over again. I mean, it's,
Oh, yeah.
Pulling an Ella Fitzgerald, scooting up,
Yeah.
Scat right through it, but, no matter how much you've rehearsed, sometimes it just happens.
And that is
that's
the
live
magic
theater.
of live theater.
Yeah, that's the best. That's I mean, we say it. People out there are probably going, "Oh my God, no! How do you do that?" But it's what you love doing. And it's a challenge, right?
And I still get nervous every time I step on stage.
Yeah.
But once you're out there, it's amazing, and everyone has a different experience. But like you really do. There's a comfort, and those lights hit you, and it's like, all right, I'm someone else, and you can just go and do what you need to do. It's incredible.
Yeah. Once it's like action, you're there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's truly hard to explain it unless you've experienced it. It's and I think everyone should do theater at least once in their lives.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's a class or an improv workshop or something.
Right.
Like I think everyone should do something with theater.
Yeah. Going up there without a script,
Yes.
Nothing but net.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Not even a net. You're there and you're on your own. I think there's a lot of, lessons there for business. I mean, you mentioned there's a lot of business, behind the scenes and all that. And there's,
absolutely.
You got to be able to think on your feet too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and it's everything from collaboration to creative thinking to public speaking to confidence building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything. It impacts everything.
Yeah. That person that took your prop and moved it. It's like, don't touch my stuff.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we've all had that moment too.
I remember in Jesus Christ Superstar, I was doing one time that this young kid was one of the stagehands, and we all had our robes placed on the set at different, so we could do a quick change, and he moved them all, took them all off stage.
Oh my gosh!
Because we all set them during intermission, and he came out. "Oh, look at all this stuff," and we're all like, "Where the hell?" So we all went up with no robe. Half of us had no robes.
No.
And the director's like, "What the?" And we're like, "Someone moved our stuff." It's like, yeah. If you're playing at home, kids, don't touch somebody else's prop.
Yes.
Number one rule in theater: don't touch another person's prop, because you know exactly where it is, and you got it. Because again, that ruins the rhythm too, right?
Absolutely.
Even having it over a half a foot different from where it is.
It's true.
It's crazy how that works, but it's like,
because
you're so used to, just doing it. And same with the music. Same cue, the same being in the same spot.
Patterns and habits, they do mean a lot.
Right. Well, and I started let's talk a little bit about the behind the scenes that goes on with musical theater, because there's a lot, as you mentioned it. And of course, Toy, you're down there in Allentown.
Yes, we are.
What a great space, huh?
Oh, the Allendale Theater is beautiful, and it's really lovely to be part of the Allentown community.
Hmm.
It's changed a little bit over the last couple of years, but it's still a very vibrant, wonderful community. And so many of our kids, whether it's a field trip or a weekend show, it's their first time
Hmm.
downtown.
Right.
It's their first time at a live theater space,
Hmm.
and it's really glorious. But the Allendale is a beautiful, beautiful space, and it's so much bigger inside than you think it
Right.
is
Yeah.
looking at the building from the outside.
Sure.
So it's a big challenge for our scenic designers
Hmm.
to really like fill that space, but it's a wonderful challenge.
Yeah. Now, has it always been there, the toy?
So no, so we have had many homes. The company was started by two Damon College students,
Hmm.
Roz Kramer and Tony Smith Wilson in 1972. And then I'm not exactly sure all of the homes that they've had, but
Hmm.
I know they were in the Franklin Street Theater before they moved into the Allendale.
Hmm.
The Allendale was built in 1913.
Hmm.
So we actually predate Shays, which is pretty
Oh, wow.
incredible.
That is incredible. Yeah.
And yeah, it started as a vaudeville house, and then
Hmm.
there is a bit of an expansion with community with theaters in there, and then it became a cinema film house of
Hmm.
different varieties throughout the decades, and then it was closed in the late 1970s, and then it was in partnership with the Allentown Association in the city of Buffalo to then bring toy in, and we've been in that space since 1999.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. It's crazy. I've done a little research. At one point, there were a lot of theaters in Buffalo
Oh, there
a
were.
100 years ago. There
Yes.
was a lot of them, South Buffalo and the West Side. A lot of them have been torn down, unfortunately. I've
It's
seen
so
pictures and, oh,
unfortunate that they've been
yeah,
torn down, yeah.
yeah. You see those great old buildings, and, fortunately, we still have Shays,
Yes, absolutely.
because such a treasure that is. But there was a point where it was almost gone,
Oh, I know.
when you think about it, about 50 years ago. But yeah, in the 70s, it
Yeah.
was,
Unfortunately, the 70s did a lot of
oh,
damage to our
yeah,
architecture.
urban renewal. Yeah, good
Yeah.
plan, guys. Yeah.
Well, the Allendale, we're very lucky that was saved,
Hmm.
truly.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice. I mean, as an architect, someone who loves architecture too, it's wonderful to, and we did. Gosh, what is it? There's the walking tours around Allentown and everything. We
Yes,
we
Explore
did.
Buffalo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we did want to, you know, pointed out the Allendale. I'm like, wow, it's because you drive by it so many times going, because of course in Allentown you're always looking for a parking spot, right?
Yes.
I never noticed the theater, and I'm like, oh, there it is, and you could just stand there. We're not driving, and really take a good look at it.
Yes.
And but again, I digress from my original question 5 minutes ago. So the business side of the theater. I mean,
Yeah.
so now do you guys like run campaigns for funding and things of that nature, or
We
how are you
do.
just getting grants, and how do you support yourself? I mean, it's
It's
tough.
really challenging. I
Yeah.
mean, ticket sales obviously are a huge part of our revenue streams. And then we're very fortunate to receive every year we apply for cultural funding from Erie County and
Hmm.
New York State Council on the Arts. We're always going after, annual funding. So grants and foundation supports are
Sure.
very huge as well. But again, not dependable. And so we're, toy, like a lot of other youth organizations, it's really hard because our families and our children age out.
Right.
And so it's trying to find ways to stay connected with people and families. And we're actually going to be kicking off an annual appeal in April for donation
Hmm.
support from individuals.
Right.
So that's going to be our big campaign in the spring.
Right. Do you ever have like alumni shows where you have?
That's something that I'm actually exploring.
Yeah.
We're trying to build our alumni database,
Right.
and we have not that I'm aware of,
Yeah.
but that's something that I think would be so much
Yeah,
fun.
even like a one night stage greeting or something like
Yes,
that of folks who have done a show, and
I
that would
love
be
that
cool.
idea.
Yeah, you can have it. That's
No, I think it's brilliant. I
yeah.
really do.
No, it's because it's again, you think about that, and if they are aging out, it's like I'll bet you those people have memories that stay with them forever.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
and it's like I want to do that show again. That was so much fun. Could you imagine?
Oh,
Could you imagine if
sure.
you did Charlie Brown 30 years ago, and now you
Yeah.
come back and play Linus as a 60-year-old man or something like that.
Yes.
You know, wouldn't that be a hoot? Yeah.
I love it. I
An
love
over
it.
60, Charlie
Oh,
Brown
sure.
cast. Charlie Brown, the assisted living version. So. Linus, hold on, I got to get my teeth.
Yeah.
But I think that would be kind of cool. I'd love to get back together with castmates from. I mean, I mentioned Josh and we did, but Tommy, I think we did 21 years ago.
He was just talking about that actually, and I couldn't believe how long ago it was.
Yeah,
truly, that even for me, because I went to a couple of the performances, and so even for me, it feels like it was yesterday, and it was not.
Yeah, it does. It's like 21 years ago. Holy moly! It's doing it a long time, and how many folks that we've met over the course of doing shows.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And it's a tight-knit community at the same time.
It is.
So,
and it's sometimes I found one of my struggles was that you do a show and it's like you're a family, but then you're off to the next show, and you still obviously are friendly and in good spirits with each other, but there's nothing quite like when you're in the middle of a show,
right,
working with a cast and crew, and it's so great.
Well, I remember the first time I did Jesus Christ Superstar with Stage Struck, actually, at the time, and the cast, we just gelled. I mean, it was magical. We went out every night after rehearsal. So when they decided to do it the following year and said, we're inviting all of you back, for those who can't come back for whatever reason, we'll cast those parts, but we want you guys to do that. And it was fun, but it wasn't quite the same.
Sure.
Because there was some different folks. And of course, you can't recreate that
specialness
too of that, like the first time, right? When that lightning in the bottle kind of
that's true
of a phase. But it would be cool to see.
Oh, absolutely.
To see some of the old, because I think that first one, I think Josh was in Superstar with me. I forget. I don't remember anything these days. I don't remember either. I definitely remember
he's
Tommy.
Done that a couple times, so I don't quite remember that.
Could be. I'll have to get out the old photos. Ay. And of course, I had no clue what I was doing back then.
Yeah.
I just knew I liked to sing.
Yeah.
Thank goodness that people gave me the means to do it.
Sure.
And here I am now. And it's like, having been able to do it, I think, is something that's totally special in my life, because I've made so many friends, but so many memories, and have just gotten to, do it. I don't know. I haven't done it in a while, and, now I'm involved with the podcast and everything. So I'm getting my performance out differently, but who knows? There still might be a show. And of course, as we age out too, it's, the roles start to become a little smaller.
Sure. Sure.
Because there's not as many roles for older folks. Although I've been told, as long as you're a male, there'll always be a role for you.
That is true.
Unfortunately, there's not as many of us guys out there doing it as there are the females.
Yeah.
And we could get away with it a little bit more, I think. And,
yeah.
And of course, if you're doing Joseph or Superstar, you got to have, but I've seen now mixed casts because,
oh, absolutely.
Because places, there's just not 12 guys.
Oh, sure.
Sure. That either available or, that want to do it. So now let me also ask too. So from the producing standpoint, because I'm always enamored on both regular music and the theater side, what a producer actually does. It's like, it's like they're not directing, they're not acting, but it just seems like they're there, but they're not, right? So what's the producer's role when it comes to like theater?
An easy statement is that we make it happen.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's really, every year, it's so funny in the summer, people will be like, well, what are you doing? You're, the season's over. And it's like, no, I'm still working. There's still a lot that needs to be done between budgets and marketing and, oh my goodness, coordinating meetings and payroll and HR things. And I mean, truly the list goes on and on and on. And it's just, there's always something to do. And like, today, I was talking to my stage manager and I delivered tables that were ordered for the set, and because I had to deliver so like even things outside the box that it's like, well, somebody's got to get this done, and I have a car today, so like let's go do this, or whatever it might be, and you're just kind of there to soundboard off people and even though I'm not directing, like I still give my artistic opinion on things. And like this weekend we have a designer run, and like I will be there to share feedback and troubleshoot issues that come up between all the designers and the directors and even the actors. And it's, I don't know, you just kind of make it happen from the back end, all the finances and everything outward to the public, all the marketing that you see, that's, I'm creating that on Canva, and then I'm, scheduling it on Facebook, and it's just, just really across the board. We just kind of like make it happen.
Well, that's a good way to put it. So
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I've always thought it's like, well, I'm the producer. Well, what do? Do you just write a check? Well, no, you're.
Yeah, I mean, that is a big part of it.
Of course,
with payroll and stuff, but it's talking to sponsors, it's having, conversations with funders, and it's really across the board. Every day is different.
Right. Keeping those gears oiled up and keeping that machine running, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, how many times have you had, or if you have, I don't know, some of the shows don't seem as, big of names, but have you run into where you've gotten the rights for the show and then all of a sudden it's like, now we're going on a national tour, you can't do the show now?
Luckily, we have not had that issue, but we did. I know that there was a show that I was really pursuing that we, at the last minute, we couldn't wait any longer because it was into the fall, and it was like, we can't wait. Yeah. And so I pulled it and then applied for something else. And then I found out another local company waited a little bit longer, and then they got the show. And I was like, oh, we were both vying for it and I didn't know. But it all worked out.
Right. Yeah. But that's, something else you have to think about, right? When
absolutely.
When you're saying, what are we going to do next season? Is this show touring?
There's a lot. It's funny. Especially working in children's theater, there are so many like book titles that you think, oh, this must be a show or this must be a musical, and it doesn't exist. So there's a lot of going back to the drawing board of like, oh, do we have the resources to possibly create a show, or do we look for something that already exists? And then because that pool is slightly smaller, and thinking about, sometimes you do have to think about a well-known title to help get audiences in schools. And but then you do see like, oh, that is on a national tour, or like, oh, they've just developed that and they have it. And so really keeping an eye on the other youth theater organizations is really important for us to do as well.
Right. Well, you know what, Tracy, we've come to the top of the hour, believe it or not.
My goodness.
Yeah.
It's flown. I
told you it wouldn't be hard. You start to get talking about theater. It's all good. But before we sign off, kind of any last thoughts on musical theater, or tidbits, little nuggets to tell everyone, and tell them, give another plug to the toy? And
goodness, just that musical theater is so much fun, and it's really joyful to see kids coming into the show, like at Toy, whether it's Fancy Nancy. And I think this is going to happen a lot with Diary of a Wimpy Kid, that they come in and they might not know the music, but then they exit and they're singing the songs or imitating the dances, and like it's just so joyful. And I love that part of my job, and really interacting with the audiences. And I think that Diary of a Wimpy Kid, whether or not you know the book series, which is a huge book series, I think you're gonna really enjoy this show. It has some really great musical numbers, and the characters, whether you are 14 or you're 94, I think you're going to remember what it was like to be in middle school, and I think you're going to really relate, and it's going to be a really good time. Yeah.
Kids are like sponges too, right?
They are.
The little, especially, when my kids were little, man, they could go see a show once and they knew all the...
Oh, it's so true.
They knew everything. I'm like, what are you doing? Come on, Dad. It was,
It's amazing.
Yeah. Now, do you ever get kids after the show come up and say, how do I do that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the special things that we do at Toy is every performance, we do a talk back.
Oh, okay.
And so it's so much fun to see the questions that these kids come up with and things that they're curious about, whether it's about the show itself or how did we make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also say, like, how do I do what you do? Or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, did you study it? Did you go to school? Do you take classes? And luckily, Theater of Youth, we do offer educational theater workshops throughout the year. So there's tons of opportunities to take a class
Mm-hmm.
of all different fields, whether it's like straight acting or improv or musical theater, and
Mm-hmm.
so many opportunities. But there's so many ways to get involved, and actors or adults and kids often ask, okay, how do I do that?
Yeah.
And you can do it.
Right. Oh, well, Tracy, thanks again so much for coming down, sharing your stories.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Seeing that smiling face over on the other side of the mic, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, it has. Thank you.
And for everyone who's tuned in, we hope you've had just as much fun as we have. And as always, you can find the podcast where you get your podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Audible, the Buffalo Hive, YouTube. And of course, you can always find the podcast at rockabillygreg.com, where it's all about the music. And I will have links to the Toy Theater and social media and all that up on the website, as well as maybe some links to get to their website so you can buy tickets and go see a show and maybe get involved. So, because I'm sure you're always looking for volunteers too to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yes. So, again, for everyone who's tuned in, thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. In the Flamingo Lounge is made possible in part by CatsLikeUs.com, your online store for authentic vintage clothing and accessories. Buffalo Ironworks, an intimate live music venue and bar located in the Cobblestone District in downtown Buffalo. And by Diamond Hawk Golf Course and Pub, Western New York's premier golf course, restaurant, and banquet facility. At the Hawk, the bar is hopping year-round with live music every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, and some other nights, too. Tune in for a new episode every Saturday at 9 a.m. EST at rockabillygreg.com, where it's all about the music. Bark, Zoe, bark. Good girl.